The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is...
Welcome to I'm Your Target Demographic. My name is Adam Ryan Daniels, and today we're talking about indie movies. I love movies. I see a lot of movies. If you go to my written blog right here, I review about 70 movies a year that come out in theaters. So that's a good reason to go there, bookmark that site, see what I think of these movies as they're coming out. But now I want to talk about movies that have already happened. A lot of times people ask me, hey, I'm in the mood for this, what should I watch? So I thought I would do kind of the highlights of different genres and tell you, hey, if you're in the mood for comedy, here's some things. If you're in the mood for an indie movie, here's some ideas. So that's what I'm going to start with. Today we're going to talk about indie movies. Now, before we jump in, I want to cover what I consider to be that category of indie movie. Because a lot of times it might mean independent, meaning it maybe doesn't have the kind of budget or the star power as other movies, but some big studios are starting to put out movies that feel like indie movies. So they might have a lot of those same characteristics, but they're from a big budget studio. So some of those might be on this list too. What I consider to be indie. Usually smaller scope. It tends to be character driven, tends to be emotional, and it tends to be about some sort of relationship. So it's not an action adventure movie. It's something that it's a romantic relationship, or it's a father-son, or it's a brother-sister. It's some sort of relationship-focused movie, maybe smaller in scope. So I'm going to give you an example with my number one. One that a lot of people have seen, 500 Days of Summer. So it is smaller scope. It's focused on a relationship. Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zooey Deschanel. Kind of both of them were emerging as stars. They weren't the powerhouses that they are now. And it's really a relationship, and it looks at specific days, but days out of order. So if you haven't seen this, imagine it shows you the 300th day of this relationship. Then it shows you the first day. So it's jumping around, and you're getting to see what it's like. Oh, it's like a new relationship. They're super lovey-dovey. And then it goes like, whoa, it's the last day of their relationship. Something happens. So it kind of jumps around. Great performances by both of them. Some amazing work. It tugs at your heartstrings, but it's also really funny. There's a musical number kind of in the middle that will get that song stuck in your head for weeks. I still have it stuck in my head, and I saw this movie 7 years ago. Next up, another staple of the kind of indie movie genre, and as it became more popular, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. So we have Jim Carrey kind of taking a serious role. So he did this a little bit in The Majestic, he did this a little bit in The Truman Show, but this one is really where he dives into kind of a character-driven piece. Imagine a world where you could forget someone, you could kind of delete them from your memory. So Kate Winslet stars as kind of this free spirit that meets up with Jim Carrey, his character, and they have kind of a great relationship, but for some reason, she deletes him from her memory. So in kind of retaliation, he does it too. But then it turns into this like competition, I guess, of kind of running through his memories, and he decides he doesn't want to do this anymore, and it's kind of this crazy, very visceral, emotional, turbulent ride. So some great performances by Carrey and Winslet, but also some really nice smaller performances by Mark Ruffalo, Elijah Wood, and Kirsten Dunst. If you haven't seen this movie, it's super cool. It's a science fiction movie in that it's science that doesn't exist yet. And so it's showing you what a world like that would look like. So very fascinating. That kind of ties into the next movie on my list that's also a little bit science fiction. That is a future where a certain type of technology exists. And that movie is Her, which only came out recently, so it's kind of the newer movie on this list. And it focuses on Joaquin Phoenix. And this technology is essentially an artificial intelligence, like your AI, on your phone or computer or whatever, but it's sentient. Like it learns, it thinks, it can talk to you. So what would a world look like where that was possible? So his AI, voiced by Scarlett Johansson, he kind of gets attached to and eventually kind of forms a relationship with. So it's a future where the object of your affection could be an inanimate object. So very interesting. Not a lot of people saw her. It kind of came out very late in the year, last winter. It kind of missed a lot of people's radars. So now it's on DVD. If you want to catch the movie here, I definitely recommend you do that. And now a third movie that is an indie movie, but also kind of ties to science fiction. Maybe that's the style that I veer towards. And it's a movie that I don't even really think hit theaters, at least not nationwide, but is, as far as I know, streaming on Netflix. So those of you that missed it, this is your chance. And the movie is called Robot and Frank. Robot and Frank follows Frank Langella as a older man who kind of needs assistance in the house. He needs someone to take care of him. So in this future, there are robots that kind of serve as housekeepers and assistants, and they kind of make sure you're taking your pills or whatever. So he gets this little robot that he kind of forms a relationship with. They become best friends, and kind of Frank Langella's character when he was younger was a thief, like kind of a jewel thief, kind of very renowned in the world of thievery. So he kind of teaches this robot to steal things, and so he decides it's time for one last heist. And so it's kind of this old man and his robot attempting to kind of do this big heist. So it's kind of fun, but there are really some sweet, quieter moments. I mean, he has his two kids, James Marsden and Liv Tyler, do great, but they're not in it as much. Really, it's him, Susan Sarandon. It's a fascinating little movie, kind of quirky, kind of funny, but I think a lot of you will like it. So see if Netflix is still streaming Robot and Frank. And then my fifth and final movie that I want to talk about today is probably my favorite movie of all time. Not the best, because I know there's a lot of things wrong with it, but my favorite. If someone asks me, what's your favorite movie? I tell them this. And it's a little movie called Stranger Than Fiction. And it stars Will Ferrell in one of his non-comedic roles. The movie is funny, but it's not because of him. He is basically this kind of down and out, average Joe, struggling with life, kind of in a routine, kind of monotonous. But then one day, he hears a narrator that is telling his story. And it's the voice of Emma Thompson. And so he goes on this kind of adventure to find out who is this person narrating my life. And it becomes concerning when the narrator starts to talk about how they're going to kill off this character, which is Will Ferrell. So he is in kind of a book, and he's about to be killed off, so he's trying to find the author of this book. It's fascinating. It brings up a lot of really cool questions about, free will. Like, is our destiny already written? What sort of, are we able to choose our destiny? Do you believe in fate? There's some interesting questions, but it's set in the context of kind of this quirky rom-com. So it's interesting. It opens a lot of doors for conversation. So if you're going to watch a movie with some friends and you want to have coffee and talk about it afterwards, this is a really good movie to do that in that sort of setting. So in addition to Will Ferrell, it also has Maggie Gyllenhaal, who I'm not a huge fan of, but she does the job in this movie. And then Emma Thompson's great, Queen Latifah, and then Dustin Hoffman does a really great job. So very interesting movie. Not a lot of people have seen it, but if you want to see something that's fun, will make you think a little bit, but it's also kind of quirky, you can relax, enjoy the movie, Stranger Than Fiction is my number one choice for you. So those are 5 indie movies that if you wanted that sort of movie that I would recommend you watch. Some of them are streaming on Netflix, some of them might be on Hulu Plus, Amazon, whatever. You might have to go out and find a Redbox or whatever, but they're all worth watching. Sound off in the comments if these are movies you like. So you can scroll down there and see, wow, everyone does really like Eternal Sunshine. So go down there, let me know if you agree. If there's movies that you would add to this list, put them. I haven't seen everything, so there might be movies that I also should check out in the genre of kind of indie movie or studio replica of an indie movie. So definitely let me know in the comments. And like I said in the very beginning, I have a full website where I'm currently reviewing movies as they come out. So if you're looking to hit the theaters and you want to know what's good right now, go to imyourtargetdemographic.com, bookmark that site, check it out. Again, I'm reviewing movies all the time. So let me know what you think, and thanks for watching.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is